Right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for attending today. Yeah, welcome to our Ask the Expert with Gareth around AI agents and how it can reclaim 100 hours a year with AI. Just a bit around who I am and who your IT department are for those who don't know. My name's Angus. I'm the Senior Business Advisor here at your IT department. So we provide managed IT, AI, and automation and cybersecurity solutions to businesses within the UK. So we are very proud to announce that we have an international speaker with us today, Gareth Smith, who has recently got back from Nashville after presenting at a big automation conference around an automation engineer's survival guide and how to keep your boss happy. So Gareth has been with us for quite a few years and then sort of moved into an automation role and then also as an AI lead as well for us at your IT department. So without further ado, over to you, Gareth.
Yeah, thanks for that, Angus. Hi, yeah, as Angus said, I'm an AI and automation team leader here at your IT department. I no doubt some of you have spoke to me in the past. So just kind of a little bit of what we're going to go through today, which is, probably one of the most critical things is about adoption. So, I have no doubt most of us have used AI in some form or way, but essentially there is risks to obviously using AI or essentially somebody kind of not having a full understanding of how to use it. So it usually leads to bad results, which people then like, well, I don't need AI, it's not helping me. So it's kind of to go through that and then, yeah, we'll kind of go through a demo. So let me share my screen. So hopefully you can kind of see my screen. My slideshow isn't, the presentation of it. I'll try my best. It's not always the most prettiest, but I'll try and speak through it anyway. So yeah, as I said, this is to kind of go through how to use AI in the right ways with some practical productivity, how to protect your business data and support from people you essentially already trust, which hopefully us. So this is kind of what we're going to go through. There's kind of 6 subjects here. One is the hesitation. Now, the reason why I'm saying there is hesitation, so there is actually only 35% of UK businesses that use AI. When I say use AI, I mean that is a tool that has been purchased by an employer. But there is actually 55% of employees who use AI, which we'll bring up to another subject we'll talk about in the safeguarding section regarding shadow AI and the risk that brings. So essentially, a lot of employees are using AI because they don't have them tools. So, this kind of go through about the tools you can give them to help support them and help keep your business data safe. Now, the opportunity is, okay, what can AI do that can actually generally save me time? And then as well as that, again, the safeguards is AI is scary. Even as an AI and automation engineer myself, one day I'll probably automate myself out of a job. But it's essentially, everybody's always, oh, it's going to replace me, it's going to take my job. It's not there for that, but there is still safeguards that have to be in place. And then we'll give a live demo. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll give you a little run through, something to try yourselves and the next steps. Now, we will be talking about a platform called Secure AI, but a lot of the stuff that I'm going to go through today is just AI principle in general. So most AI hesitations always come down to, I'd say 2 questions more than one, to be fair. So I should have worded that a little bit better. Where does it fit? So you've got ChatGPT, you've got Claude, or essentially any AI tool, and a lot of people don't utilize them to the best of their abilities, and that's because they don't know how it can fit into their business. They don't know how it can work and how it can essentially help make everyday life that little bit easier. And now the problem is with tools, there's 1,000 out there. We've all seen it now. There's a million tools for about every industry. But the problem is there's so much noise around it. And the bigger issue from that is people will go off, get these tools because they're really hyped. People kind of buy into that hype. And then the problem is essentially you'll give it a go, and that first attempt's always poor. Now, the reason being is because you're getting given a tool, but you're not actually being told how to use it, how it's going to work best for your company outside of being sold something. And essentially, there's no safe place to practice, because essentially, without the guidance, people either simply avoid AI altogether, or they essentially use it carelessly. They throw loads of data into there, which they shouldn't be, and you have no way to kind of monitor or to check that. So just kind of from this, it is quite clear, as I was saying earlier with the statistics, there is a lot of tools, but people either get overwhelmed, they don't know what to do, or again, they'll give something a go once, and then they'll be like, well, this isn't going to work for us. It's not helping me in any sort of way. So how do you kind of fix this? Kind of simple, really. So there is a crawl, walk, run method. Now, kind of what we're going to go through here is the crawl method. You start with one real task. You give it a clear guidance and a secure place for you and your employees to practice. Now, secure AI, it supports your people. Now, what this essentially means is kind of going back to what I said at the beginning. A lot of people do get scared of using AI in general, just for the fact of the matter is they're like, well, if I use AI, it's going to replace me. It can do my job. It can do it better. Well, AI in general, it's not. Now, don't get me wrong, it makes our life so much easier. That quick fire email or being able to make that spreadsheet for us, and that sort of thing. But it's not there to replace your judgment. End of the day, you're being hired or you're hiring skilled people for their judgment. AI is essentially an extension to them. It's to help them make their job better. So how does it kind of work? So you need to give it one simple task. A lot of people will go for their most complex thing inside their company, give it to the AI with hardly any context, without giving it a goal and clear expectations of what you need, and then expect it to work. It's not. It's going to fail pretty much every time, because although AI itself now is a chat model, you can go up and you can go speak to it and everything else. It still doesn't have an understanding of every inch of who you are and how your business works and exactly what you need. It's not a mind reader. So the way I always say things is break things down into simple, repeatable tasks. Now, you just give it something simple. You start with something repetitive that is low risk. This is the crawl. So you don't want to kind of give it something that can essentially take control of the business and go and do whatever you want it to do. You want to give it something very, very simple. Even such things as meeting notes, which I have actually got a demo on in this. So you give it a simple task, and then you use AI to assist you. Now, this is something a lot of people do kind of skip over. AI isn't just a tool you just feed it information and then go, right, go do this. You can ask AI how you can give it the information in a way to get your end result. Now, what I mean by that is you can give it, let's say, again, meeting notes, and you want a summary. And then the summary it's giving you is not quite what you want it to be. It's just essentially going through the whole chat and just summarizing certain parts, but missing out key components. So you can then go ask AI, right, I don't care about the jibber jabber. I just want this specific information. How can I help you get that information better? And then it'll tell you. So using AI to help AI, it's a real thing. And again, it doesn't just improve the output. Obviously, it saves you time. Now, the one thing is AI is really good. It is really powerful, but it is a final draft, not to publish. Now, what I mean by that is it might be a typo. There could be one bit of data that has got wrong. Always check what it does at the end, because end of the day, if you've got a big Word document and you're sending it over to somebody or a client or anything like that, you want it to be accurate. So always kind of give it a scan, give it a check, just make sure the key points are there that you need. If not, then it needs improving. And this is kind of where these 4 steps kind of come into. You give it the task, Secure AI assists you with that task, a person reviews it, and then your team decides. So the humans essentially still own the outcome. And essentially, it's an accountable outcome, because someone can't just go, oh, well, yeah, AI did it incorrect. It's actually, no, you're still accountable for what it's outputting, because either you're not giving it the correct information, or the fact is you've just randomly gave it something and you've not looked through it. Now, obviously, that can impact a lot of things across the business. Now, adoption works when the first step feels safe. And again, this kind of comes into the point where essentially a lot of people are scared of the AI adoption, but it is here. It's not going anywhere. And, you know, in most industries now, you need to kind of get on board with it. Otherwise, competitors will always overtake you. So again, going back to what I said, and same 4 steps, but in a bit of a different way. Start. Now, you always want to start with one real task, something simple that you do every single day, and then you want to protect it. Now, what I mean by this is, and this is kind of where shadow AI massively comes in, is people will go in, feed it loads of company data or even your client information. And the problem is with shadow AI, that actually is giving the company, so let's say ChatGPT using the free version, and you give it some financial data and stuff like that. Actually, it learns from that because you're using that free version. This is where shadow AI can be a big security risk, because now that you've got models training on your business data, which you don't want, because it might reference that to somebody else, not directly underneath your name, but it will still be data that it's learning from, which is obviously something you don't want. So, always start with one real task, but protect your data. Only give AI the information you need it. And the good side is about secure AI, you won't have to worry about shadow AI. It does not train on your data. Now, that doesn't mean you just throw everything at it, obviously, but it means actually there's still a lot more protection. There's still a lot more governance around it. And then review it. Always review everything. And then you constantly repeat it. And this becomes a general routine. Now, this doesn't just start with employees kind of doing this. It's got to be something that's structured throughout the company. Everybody's got to kind of get on board, because essentially, if somebody's using it and they're having that little bit of a difficult time, and they see, essentially a manager doing the same job but skipping over AI, they're going to think that's okay. And end of the day, it can be. There's no point having tools if you're not utilizing them correctly. So making something into a repeatable process and make it become a routine throughout the company, it will make AI much better, and it will make it much more functional inside the company. Now, this is where secure AI, and it earns its place really quickly. Now, these are just some of the very basics, very fundamentals of what AI can do. So every day we're all writing emails, we're writing documents, we're updating spreadsheets, the admin side. We obviously having to constantly go get knowledge and research, and go to Google, say, right, okay, how do I do this, or what does this mean, or any sort of key points you need, or even looking through your own knowledge base, for certain information for you to go and update a document. Now, this is where your write, find, and repeat kind of come in. So you're writing, AI can do that for you. It can write anything you need it to do. It can summarize, it can make full reports, it can give internal updates. You name it, it can do it in that sense. And I'll find this is kind of that two sides, like I've just said. The knowledge, it doesn't have to be from the internet. Now, don't get me wrong, it's obviously a cool thing to have, but if you've got your own internal process, give it. Tell it what your process is. So that means then one person, every person, can kind of go up to an agent, ask it a question, and it will always look at the same place. That way, you're not getting miscommunication throughout the company. It actually makes it very repeatable. So let's just use the employee handbook. Just for a general example, somebody wants to look at how does maternity leave work. They can simply go and ask it one question, and it will go look in the right place, and it'll be like, right, this is the policy on maternity leave. And then you repeat it, because now you've got an agent that knows your employee's handbook. It makes it repeatable. So, people not having to go to HR or look through loads of their old documents when they started and stuff like that. They've got one place they can come to, and, it saves HR time. It also saves the person asking the question time. So they're not having to go unbury anything. And again, these are just simple things. And again, these are just the fundamental of one way you can use AI. Now, you don't need a perfect prompt to get started because this is something that it was at the beginning. I remember when ChatGPT first come, you wrote it something basic, you got a very basic reply. So people had to engineer prompts. They had to make very specific prompts to fit into everything they need for their business. Now, the goal is the key part with AI now, is these 4 steps, again, are just to help AI help you to make your life a lot easier. So a lot of people will give, and I've seen this countless of times, and again, I know I've already said this, but they will give it documents and then expect it to mind read on what they want. They'll just say, right, I want X, Y, and Z, send it. That's it. That's not actually got a goal or context. So the goal is you need to tell the AI what it is you want them to achieve when you're giving them that document. What is it you want them to do? And that context, like it says there, for example, what information would improve the result? So give it a context in, the specific parts you need and the challenge. Once it gives you that output, challenge it and just say, look, this part's really good. This part needs improving. So you challenge the AI and it will refine it. It will make it better. It's kind of, think of it as kind of, you've got a new employee. Somebody comes in and you're showing them for that first time. They might be massively experienced and really good at what they do, and that's the reason why I hired them. But they're not going to know how everything works straight away. You're going to have to train them, show them. And this is that same aspect. You need to train the AI and tell the AI what you want it to do and how you want it to achieve it. And when you kind of start getting into that, again, first few bits can seem a little bit long, but once you refine that process and the AI can create a prompt for you, so you say, right, this has been fantastic, this has worked brilliantly, I want to make this into a repeatable process. It can give you a prompt, so you can go start a new chat, and then you paste the same prompt to give it another document, and there you go. Your output is going to be the same, and you've not had to challenge it. You've not had to go back and forth with it. So that one chat has actually just now made a process. But the problem is with that is you're still using a chat. So the world today is massively, massively leaning on agents. Now, agents is something that you talk to, except for as a hidden prompt behind it, which again I'll go into a little bit more information shortly. So why do this? Why make a repeatable process? Even something that takes you 5-10 minutes out of your day, something constant. Why would you want to make it into something that you can one click go get it done? It's because literally, like it says here, if you're doing something that takes you 10 minutes a day, that's 50 minutes a week, and that's 43 hours a year. Now, that's for one person. Now, imagine there's 10 of you doing that. That 43 hours is now 430 hours. And that's across the company over a year. So when you get AI involved and it's saving you that 10 minutes, you're no longer spending 50 days between you all working on something. You're essentially saving 430 hours across the board throughout that year. And again, you think that that's your ROI when it comes to AI. It's saving your employees time, which means they can kind of get on with any other of their bigger tasks they've got. And again, this is just a baseline. This is something simple, whether it's, writing out specific emails for you. And again, you've just had a meeting and you want action points and stuff like that being done for you. You can do it and might save 10 minutes, but across the year, it's a massive difference. So AI itself can be extremely powerful as long as if you kind of go back to the same parts I said here: goal, context, challenge, refine. So put these in hand together, you can start seeing why things being repeatable is a must. Because if you repeat one process, you kind of get that, how do I put it? Get a little bit of energy, and you're like, wow, okay, this is awesome. I'm now saving time. How can I further expand that? What's the next thing I can do? And then it might be on the next one, you've got one task that you do once a month. It takes you an hour. And you use AI to help you with that. It makes that hour change to a 40-minute process instead. There you go. Now you're saving 40 minutes every month. So it makes a continuous chain. And it also helps you look into other parts of your business. And it'll be like, right, well, we've got AI improving these written parts. How else could we improve? Where else could we bring in other things such as automation into it. Now, I'm going to give a live demo of kind of what the platform looks like and how it works. Now, I'm not really focusing on a chat. Now, the reason being is everybody's chatted with AI. They all know how it functions, how it works. So I'm going to be leaning into the other side of it, which is workflows and agents. So let me stop sharing so I can reshare my other screen. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Where did I put it? There we go. Do apologize. I've got a million tabs open. So I will go through this platform in general, but I've spoke about agents, and now I kind of just want to jump into that bit and kind of show you what agents are. So agents is essentially you can go into a chat and you can ask it a specific question, and behind the scenes of that agent, you have this. Now, this is an instruction. So here, I'm going to go back to the meeting notes that I've said, because this is something I'm going to give a live example of. So you give it its instructions of what you want it to be. So you're a meeting notes assistant. Your job is to messy, informal, partial meeting notes into a clear, useful summary that people can quickly read and act on. And then on top of that, we've got the primary outputs. Okay, what I want that sort of summary to be, what decisions there is, what the action items are. So, it's not just going, right, somebody said do this. It's actually picking up, okay, we've got to create a table with columns, the action item, who's the owner, when's the due date, is there any additional notes for it? And then it picks up next steps. Okay, on that actionable item in your meeting, it could be, right, I want we need this, that, and the other complete, but first we have to complete this other step. It will pick that up and break it all down. Now, again, I'm not going to kind of go through all this. And the best thing is, I actually originally gave this a very simple prompt. Now, obviously, as I said, you don't need to be a prompt expert to use AI. You use AI to help it. So on this right-hand side here, you can see this meeting notes assistant. I'll zoom in a little bit because I do apologize. I'm on a pretty big screen. And now, say you type up a very basic version of what you want, and you want to improve it. Again, use it. So you can ask it, suggest improvements. And what it'll do, it will think, so it will take a minute, and it will go read them instructions and go find, okay, what the best prompt is. And like it's saying here, it's got the input, and it's telling me where the changes are, and it's got all these follow-up email parts. It's got everything in here. So it's breaking it all up of where I can improve my prompt. Now, if we want to create a prompt, we could do that too. So this is my point. You can apply the instructions and off we go. And you've not had to go and improve that. You've used AI to help improve that. Obviously, if this was not just kind of a test, I would actually, kind of look through it, read it all correctly, and essentially then make my verdict. Because there might be certain parts in it I agree with, certain parts I don't. Which is then, you can go and tell it. You can go tell it you don't agree with the way it's doing something, and you've got something set in a specific way for a specific reason. Now, you can give it a name. You can even give it an email address. Now, this is something pretty really cool. So let's just say you want this meetings, and let's say use Copilot. So at the end of every single meeting, Copilot has generated a transcription for you, and it sends you to the email. And you're like, well, I can't bother downloading this. It's fine. You can literally just forward it on to this email, and it will do its job. And there you go. It will go and activate this agent, and it will go run it. It'll go run whatever prompt you got in this. So now you save a couple more seconds. You're not having to go prompt it. You're not having to go do anything. You're literally just forwarding an email to it. Now you can obviously set up greetings. You can, again, you can choose models. Now, this is one thing secure AI has over pretty much anybody. Is the fact is you can have any sort of agent you want. Now you've got different sort of modes. You've got performance, turbo, light. Now in this case, we only need light. So as you know, I'm sure most of you are very much aware, AI is now heavy token usage. Everything, even from Copilot Cowork to Claude, ChatGPT, etc., Perplexity, everything is going to tokens, and that's what this uses. Now, I will go through the whole models and kind of how that all works shortly. And here you can add sources. So remember me saying about, let's just say this was for, the employee's handbook. You can add a source, upload that document, and this will be its knowledge. So you're telling it, this is the only document I want you to read. You don't go look anywhere else for any of the questions that are asked. If it's not related, for example, say, please ask a question that's related to the employee handbook. So you can literally give it documents without having to connect an AI up to 1,000 different places to go search for documents or anything. You can literally give it one specific job. And again, you can personalize it. So apply user personalization preferences to this agent. Now, if you're going to share this out towards everybody else inside your company, you'd want that off because your AI, the way you set it up, is personal to you. So you'd want this to have a very specific job. But this is all well and good. But how do you use it? So essentially, the way this kind of works is you have a drop down. As you can see here, we've got a few different agents here, and we've got meeting notes assistants. Now, you already know from what I've just seen that prompt inside the instructions is in the background of this. So all I need to simply do is we'll upload a file. We'll call it this. Obviously, this is just a test example. Bear with me a second. Takes a second to upload. And to be fair, my internet is running a little bit sluggish today. Hit save and close. And because essentially it's already got a prompt behind it, I don't have to give it a context or goal. I can just say, do your thing. So anybody who doesn't like AI or says, I can't use it because I don't have to prompt it, you can build something for them. And again, really, you've not really built it. You've used AI to help create it. Now, this will take a minute to generate. But while it's doing that, there is another side to this. And we're going to use the same model. So this is called a workflow. This is going to do the exact same sort of thing, but a little bit differently. So let me go to here again. I'm going to upload a document. So while this is kind of loading, what this essentially does is instead of having just a chat with an output, like you see, there's no prompt here, there's no chat box because we don't need it. So this has multiple AIs built into it that do two different jobs. Now, essentially, all I'm doing is uploading a document and I'll hit generate. And what will happen is this will go and create two prompts. This will essentially have two different AIs doing two different jobs. Prompt one will feed prompt two. Now, the reason being is prompt two is my documentation builder. So I don't want it where I have one AI that's doing everything in one go because you want to kind of keep it simple. You want to make sure the task you've given the AI is solid. It does what it's supposed to do and it does it to its best of its ability. And prompt two is quite simple. It's grabbing all that nice detail prompt one's made and it's putting into a nice Word document for you. So going back to the agent while the workflow's currently doing its thing, so all it says to it is do your thing. And like I say here, here's a summary. So it's got the summary, it's got the decision. Yes, this is in US dollars. That is my fault because I didn't do it in British currency or anything like that, or be British. So you can give it that personality as well. You can tell it to be British, you can tell it to be French, anything you want. And it will do it like that. And so we've got our summary. It's given our decisions, what the decisions were made, what the action items are. Okay, well, here's the actionable items. So here they all are. Obviously, these are all fake names and everything, so don't worry. And I can go download that as a CSV. So we can then go create some sort of tasks from it and keep tabs of it. And then here we've got risk and blockers. So, okay, what are the risks and blockers from the conversation and the meeting that was had? So, and when's the next meeting book? So all I've done is literally not giving it a prompt, not giving it anything. I've literally just gave it a document and just told it to do your thing. Simple as that. And it came back with the information. Obviously, in a real meeting, so such as this one, if I fed it in there, it would come back with quite a lot more because obviously there's a bigger conversation. As I said, I just used this as a test and gave it some kind of like random people talking, and this is kind of what's come back with. But hopefully it gives you that idea. Now you might be thinking, okay, but why are you showing us meeting notes? There's 1,000 different things out there for that, and you are correct. Except for the difference is Copilot, its meetings, it does things in a very specific way, and you can't change it. You can't tell it to do something different. I have my own AI bots which I use. Again, they're they're a product you're using, but you can't configure. You can't make it give you them endnotes in a very specific way. So here you can. You can customize how you want things to be done any way you want to, and you can change it as much as you want to. If something's not work, you can by all means go back into the into the agent prompt. You can go build it out. You can even talk to it and tell it, how can I make this information come back better, cleaner, anything you want. So this is one of the big things, and I thought it's just a general a good way to kind of show a little bit of its capabilities. And again, this is just the smallest little pinnacle of how powerful this can be. So the other side of this is, so like I said, we could always come back into here. If we go back, is we're going to show this one. Now, this might look a lot, but when I break it down, hopefully it'll be nice and easy to understand. So this works the same way as agents. You don't have to know coding. You don't have to have a complex background. I actually use this secure AI to help me build this. It pretty much built the whole lot for me, and it does a good job. And especially to say that, this idea I came up with this morning, and I probably spent 15, 20 minutes on it. That's it. That's all I've done. And that's just because I get picky. But here, you give it access to Python code. Now, you might be thinking, why does it need access to Python code? It's because natively it can't do documents on its own, but we need it to. This is the same as any AI you use on the planet. If they want to create a document, it fires up a little sandbox in its own environment, creates it, and then brings it back to you. So, here we've got prompt 1 that goes through each step, what I want it to do, and then here's prompt 2, which is essentially it's recapping the content from the prompt, and then it's going from there. Now, as you can see here, we've got this drop down. So you can, as I said, you can change the models. So we can turn auto mode off. We can hit view all. Everybody has a preference. Some people like Claude, some people like ChatGPT. The auto is there. It's just in case you're not too sure what AI is best for the current job. Which is why, again, this is really, really good, because there are so many AI tools out there. Kind of going back to the slide I said earlier, it's the simple fact is there's so many tools, but you don't know what's good at what's going to be the best beneficial for your situation and stuff like that. Where auto, it essentially looks at what you're asking it, and then it'll determine the best AI for that purpose. So here we've got Claude, Haiku. We've got Gemini, which is by far probably the best when it comes to image generation. It is really good, and we've even got NVIDIA's new models, which capabilities have been outstanding, I might add. I'll try not to get into it too much, otherwise I'll be here all day telling you just about the models, because again, I do get a little bit excited about this. And then you've got your premium models, so the newest version. So you got Opus, you got GPT 5.6 Sol, their new Sonnet, etc. Now, obviously, premium models will use higher token usages, where the lower models and standard models will use a lot lower tokens. Now, you might be thinking, well, we just want the best result for everything. And that is correct. But sometimes sometimes it gets overcomplicated. You don't need the best model for absolutely everything. Sometimes you just need the simple model. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if it's a simple task, you don't need the best, because that means then you're actually kind of overkilling it. You're using something that it doesn't need to. And again, your token usage, you're going to use a lot higher than need to. Now, if you really want to get technical, this part is essentially only a fraction of what can be done. Essentially, you can create webhooks. So this basically means you can get something else to fire this workflow off. So let's just say you've got a certain system, and you even use Copilot as a general example here, actually. So with these meeting notes, you can make it where Copilot triggers this exact workflow. Soon as a meeting is done, it will send the meeting notes directly to here, and it will trigger. And then you can go in, time you come back, that's it. All your meeting notes are ready and they're done. So yeah, there is a lot you can do inside here. Now, going back to here, so as I said, this is the difference. Here you get a nice little prompt, and you get essentially a little Word doc. Now, the Word document isn't nothing special at the moment, just because And bear with me, I'm gonna have to stop sharing and reshare again. I do apologize. Comes up on the other screen. But again, this is just to kind of give you that general example because you can sit there and you can give it a specific document that will run. Oh, bear with me, it knocked me off my screen. There we go. So again, this is just like a very quick overview of the document. So now I've got a Word document of that summary, the decisions, the tasks, everything like that. Now you can get it to create a follow-up email ready. So it's literally just picked up a quick summary here. Obviously, you can make it better, you can make it to your style. And with these documents, this is something that is really, really good about this. It's not one of them where you think, wow, okay, well, this is great, it doesn't look that great. Well, actually, you can make it look fantastic because earlier with the agents, when I was showing you, you can upload sources, you can also upload templates. So if you have a specific document template that's got your branding all over it, color schemes, everything else, you can give it. And then in that prompt, you just say, make sure you use this template when generating the documents, and that's it. It will use that template and it won't be like this. It'll be all prettied up. It will be nicely formatted, and it will be in your colors. So, just between them two, it is a really, really powerful tool. Even just from meeting notes alone, because you can, again, with it having webhooks, you can trigger it to do other things. You can have prompt 3, you can have prompt 4. So after it's done all the information, you say, let's say, for example, you need to create a task somewhere, or you need a spreadsheet with just the actionables. You can have all that. So within one click of a button, just like you uploading that document, you're pressing generate. That's it. It's going to get all this information. It's going to stack it out for you. It's going to put in an Excel with all your actionables, and you've not done anything. You don't even have to sit there staring at it. You can just crack on, do what you need to do, come back in a couple of minutes, and it's there ready for you. So that's where your time saved kind of comes in. So there is huge, huge benefit. Now, the other side of this, so every great tool obviously needs sharing abilities. Now, this is one of the really cool features, and I really do like this. You can create groups. Now, what these groups do is if you create an agent, so you can make it where only specific people in your company can create agents or workflows. So you can really restrict this down. And you can have it where that person also has the ability to create groups. So, for example, we've got our automation team here. We can go and edit that group, and we can give it a workflow. And then once we give it that workflow, let's say this meeting notes assistant, we can tick that, hit save group, and then what will happen is anybody inside that group can access that agent I have now created. That doesn't mean everybody else can. It's only them specific. So it's absolutely fantastic on that. Now, again, no doubt some of you use ChatGPTs, etc. But the issue is kind of starting again. ChatGPT's got familiar to you, that sort of thing. Well, the cool thing is about this, you can actually export your memories and bring them in. So if you've used other AI models, you can use the knowledge that it's gathered, and you can bring that into here. So that means you're not starting from scratch. It will still have your preferences and everything like that. And as well as that, you can ask it give it extra AI preferences, so you can select your own model. So I know I have it on here as performance, but we don't have to have this. We can go view all. We can select which specific one we want. We can say, do we want it to have a personalization? Obviously, I have that off at the minute, but we can turn that on, and that will allow me to change how I want that response length to be. Do I want the tone to be natural, formal, friendly? Emojis, you want them off because, like see on LinkedIn these days, everybody's full of emojis because it's just the way AI is. And you can give it custom instructions. So you can give it a description about you. So you can say, this is my job role. This is how I like my answers, use British language, etc., etc. And that means then when you're doing it here, when you go into a normal chat or using an agent, you don't not having to kind of tell it all that information every time. You put it in one place, job done, that's it. So yeah, overall it can be very good. And again, it can integrate into other systems as well. Now, I'm not really going to go into the tools and stuff too much. It's only because there's a couple more slides and I kind of want to allow any questions or anything at the end as well. But what I can quickly kind of show you very briefly is how the tools work and the memory. So memory is having this in each chat without having to go settings and bury deep is overall a really good security feature. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because you might be talking to AI about something you don't want to be repeated, or something that's specific to you. Now, you can turn off memory. That basically means I can ask it any question I want, go start another chat, and it will never have any memory of the chat we're currently having. But let's just say it's actually done something really cool and awesome, and you actually want it to remember how to do that. You just turn on the memory, and then that's it. It'll now start remembering your preferences and how you use. Now, there is a lot of tools, so I'm not going to kind of go through all this. And again, the good side is, you know, as an admin on your side, you can lock down what tools you want people to use and what you don't want them to use. So you know, you've got tools such as Google Search, Perplexity, Firecrawl. You know, you put them three together, you've got a hell of a research machine. It is really good. And as well as Tably, you know, that's really good for web search. And then this is what I was on about earlier. You can use Hat's Workshop system. Now, if you've got an idea for an agent, but you don't know what to prompt it or how to build it, use this tool, and then it will go and do that for you. It will create that agent and workflow. And as I said, there is a lot more, but we'll save that for another session. So let me switch back to the slide. Right, if I can actually press the right buttons. So obviously, this was the one I mentioned then before. I did the demo, but it's pretty much gone through it. You know, we get everyday assistance. Obviously, I used the meeting notes as a general example, a secure workspace. So, you know, as you can see with the secure side, and what I mean by that is, you know, again, it was a quick overview, but you can see we can restrict users to use specific things, including models. So if you've got a preference that you want across the company, we can set that. If you only want it specific users, we can do that. And as well as that, the groups. So, you know, you create a very powerful agent or workflow that you don't want anybody else besides a set few people to use. We can isolate it. We can exclude it from anybody outside of a designated group. Now, repeatable workflows, as I said, you know, gave a good example with the way the webhooks worked. You can make it where, you know, something triggers a workflow. In my case, I used the meeting notes as an example, you know, because again, there's 1,000 tools out there, but here you can get as specific as you want. You can get it to do a job in a way that you need it to. Now, that's where the repeatable side comes in, because you can change the trigger. You can essentially make it where the output is always going to be in that same format, in the same look, and essentially always have stuff such as your actionables and stuff like that. Now, the one thing I would always say is start with one list task from tomorrow. So essentially, inside here, always choose one repetitive task that already takes too long, but something that's simple. Again, meeting notes. I'm an AI and automation engineer. As you can imagine, I have a lot of meetings that involve different tasks and actions and deadlines and stuff like that. And again, I have my own AI bot which creates my notes, and it does do a decent job. But the problem is, it doesn't do it in the way I need to. So I use that a different type, but the same sort of principle I just showed you for my meeting notes, and it will generate my tasks for me. I got it into that much detail. And what I mean by these tasks is essentially I've got my sprints, and it will create priorities and everything for me based on the way I work. And essentially it's something simple, but it saves me mass amount of time. I'd probably say up to like 15-20 minutes each time, depending on how big a project is. So you know, this year my choosing was the meeting notes, just because again it was a really good starting point for me, and it worked in the way I need it to. Protect, I'm not giving it any sensitive information or anything like that with it as well. But again, like it says, remove sensitive details while learning the process. Don't be scared to feed AI test data. Give it examples, give it just random bits of anything really, and try and get it to do what you need it to do without having to risk it running through any of your actual data. And then go create it. Go create whatever it is you need that's repeatable through your agents and workflows. But the one main thing always is review it. So this isn't here to replace people. It's there to be an extension. It's there to be a tool to help you improve your efficiency at work and help employees improve their efficiency, do better with their jobs. So again, day one, you know, what I would do is essentially try something simple. Instead of asking Google, go ask Secure AI. And then the following day, use it to actually do something that can help you. Like, okay, well, I've done a Google search, it's done that good job. I now want to do something else. I want it to create this document. I want this to create into an Excel file, anything like that. Do it. That's what it's there for. And then, give it a couple of days. Keep trying it every day, and then find the problems that it's like, oh, well, it's actually not doing this part great. It's not doing that part great. And then go tell the AI where it needs to improve and let it help you make a better output. Let it help you, make it more efficient. And then, kind of from every week, repeat one task and compare the results. Now, what I mean by that is once you've kind of done that first initial week or two of trying to create something like this or using AI to help improve your work and efficiency, essentially repeat it and keep comparing the results of what yours would have been versus the AI. If it's the same and it just took you 2 seconds to kind of give it a document, hit generate, then that's it. AI is already going to be helping you. It's there's your ROI, there's your efficiency, there's your improvement. And again, don't just imagine this for one or two people. Imagine this for every person inside your company. Um, and keep it on going. So this goes back to the earlier one I was saying about the processes. Make something into a repeatable, reusable process. Keep the habit of using AI rather than going to Google, rather than, again, doing simple manual tasks. Now, you don't need to become an AI expert. You don't. Everybody does overcomplicate it. You just need a secure place to start. And essentially, that's what the platform offers. You can restrict who uses it. You can see essentially who's using it and who's not. So we do get usage reports. We can't see the conversations you had or anything like that, but we can just say who's been using it and who hasn't. And again, give it a small task. Human reviews it. You get better results, and then constantly repeat it. You need to keep that human judgment. You need to give your team a safer and simpler way to use AI for your repetitive tasks for that first and final draft of anything you're doing. So, I always say identify 3 tasks worth improving. Now, if you want to talk to us outside of this webinar, you want to kind of talk to us a little bit about your business, by all means, do reach out to us. And we can even, it doesn't necessarily have to do with that platform, it's just AI in general. Essentially, we're here to help. So do reach out if needed. Now, that's end of it. So that's roughly around good timing, I think, with like 12 minutes left. But essentially, we're here to help you explore AI confidently and safely at your own pace. So any questions you've got, by all means, just let us know.
Oh, thank you very much, Gareth. That was very insightful. I've got a sort of question for you around businesses using AI. How many times are you seeing a company saying this is the AI tool that we're using versus companies that say we don't really use AI, but then find out that lots of people do?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the statistics I brought up at the beginning. Is essentially only 35% of UK businesses are using AI, and when I say that, I mean, well, when I say using it, I mean more like they purchased a tool for the employees to use. And essentially 55% of all workers are using AI in some sort of way. So this is kind of where that big difference kind of comes in. And a lot of people like, we don't use AI, nobody uses AI. Actually, I guarantee it. It works out, I think, in average, 1 in 5 employees use shadow AI because their company does not give them a tool. They'll just go off and use a free one, such as ChatGPT. Gemini on Google is a very good example because that's just there now. You go do a Google search, you have Gemini. That is still shadow AI. So I'd say it's a lot more people saying they don't use AI, and essentially, really, a lot of them really are using some sort of free version, which again bringing risk to the company and risk to company data.
Do you think people in the UK, businesses in the UK, understand the risk of free AI tools?
I'd say no, because again, the data speaks for itself. Now, I'm not saying this is for every company and stuff like that, but 55% of all workers are using AI in some sort of way, but only 35% are actually using a purchase tool by the company. So that's a massive risk. So you've got 20% roughly of people using free AI with company data or even their clients' data, feeding it all this information, not realizing, well, actually, big companies like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are actually learning from this data. And then they're going to, when somebody else asks them a question from anywhere around the world, they've used that data, that your company data, to learn how to give an answer to it. So they're the sort of risks that you don't want. We had it, I know it was a good few years ago, but a general example of this is when ChatGPT essentially started sharing random chats with people. So people were getting leaks. So they would go into their ChatGPT and find there was a conversation there that was nothing to do with them. It was actually other people's conversations. So this is stuff that that needs to be avoided. Obviously, they fixed it and they've sorted it, but that's still a risk. And using that free version, it even clearly state, you give us any data, we're going to learn off it. And you don't want that. The company data is yours. And end of the day, one thing you have to think about is GDPR as well. Heavily over here, you're feeding it client data, you could be breaking the GDPR and not even realizing it. So this is something, it's a real concern across, the whole of Europe, not just the UK.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a wild west.
Yeah, definitely.
If anyone does have any questions, there's the Q&A if you want to pop them in there. So yeah, if anyone does have any questions they'd like to ask Gareth, please feel free to drop them in.
The Q&A you should see at the very top bar.
Well, if you do have some questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to either myself, Gareth, or anyone at your IT department. I'm more than happy to help. And if you want to explore a little bit more into what we can do to help businesses adopt AI safely and securely, please let us know. But no, thank you very much for your time today, Gareth. You've give it, even I sort of work with AI a lot, but you've given me a lot to think about as well. So no, thank you very much, and hope everyone has a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your time as well, and appreciate you coming. Like I said, got any questions, just reach out. Even just general questions, that's what we're here for.
Perfect. Right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care all.